I love the way you. What's your relationship like without prying? I'm going to pry anyways. Away from the studio, because you tease the heck out of each other in the studio. Is it like it outside the building?
Yeah, I think, Gord and I, at the end of the day, we're not going over to each other's houses for barbecues during the summer, but at the end of the day, we do have, I think, a great deal of respect for one another. We've each been doing this, like you, Rod, for a long, long time now. And I've got a lot of respect for anybody who's stuck around our business, Rod, like yourself and like Gord, for as long as we have, because it's a very unstable business, if you know what I mean. I met Gord for the first time back in 1992, and I was a young reporter for the then Standard Broadcast News. We were the competing newswire service for all the radio stations in Canada. So I worked at Standard, and I got sent down to a bunch of Leafs games. Gord was working color on radio with the Leafs back then. He had finished up as the general manager and was working color. I was sitting next to the woman who turned out to be Gord's wife in the press box, Lisa, and we struck up a conversation. And during one of the intermissions, he said, "Oh yeah, here's my husband, Gord Stellick." And I was in awe. I was like, "This is the Gord Stellick, the former general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs, and this is the team I grew up idolizing." And so all these years, and we've kept in touch after all these years, but all these years later, we get to do a radio show together each and every morning and talk about hockey. So it's a fun existence, and he's a great guy to work with.
Yeah, well, it's interesting you say all the how things have changed since then. From here, I'm going to do a podcast on the Panthers and Lightning with Bill Lindsay. We didn't even barely have the internet back then, let alone how things have changed. But anyways, I enjoy how much fun you guys have on there and enjoyed your interview with my good friend Shane Knighty today. We have a bit of a theme, Scott, and it is today, which non-playoff team, if you could only pick one, do you expect to make it this year? It feels like everybody's got a different one. Who would be yours?
Well, I think the low-hanging fruit, and I'm going to take this, Rod, I think is going to be New Jersey. I think that situation sets up really well for Sheldon Keefe to move in there. For all the criticism Sheldon Keefe took as the head coach of the Leafs, we know one problem he didn't have, Rod, and that was winning hockey games during the regular season, right?
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
Ryan McCarthy, watching in upstate New York, says, why does Saskatchewan have the best town names? Paradise Hill, Moose Jaw. Well, he says Flin Flon, and that's actually Manitoba. And frankly, I'm partial to Medicine Hat.
How about that?
I also learn something every day. We learned today that Flin Flon, Manitoba stands for Flint to Betty Floniton, a fictional character from a 1905 novel.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
We're giving her. Welcome to the RP Show, everybody. Brand new program, i.e. a Tuesday, episode number 1423. A reminder, we're live on the Game Plus television network and streaming as well wherever you like to stream. It's a very big day. We welcome back the Moose, Mussolini, Ramuski. He joins us today. Hey, Moose, welcome back here. You said it's nice to be home in Toronto. As Dorothy said, there's no place like home. There's no place like home. Nice to see you.
I clicked my heels together and poof, I'm back here, back on the show. It's good to be back. Home is in here, but home is in back on the show too. So, yeah, good to see you, my friend.
Like I said, a lot of people were wondering where you were. Some were concerned, and I was with Brent from Wellington, Florida on the weekend. He asked when your suspension was going to be over. I'm like, Moose is the guy handing out the suspensions. He's not serving suspensions. So, yeah, he was there broadcasting curling in the rectangle, our home and native land, but he's back in the big smoke. Okay, can you guys hit the quick six show warning? We'll just get down to business.
How about that?
I'm going to guarantee we're going to have a lot of fun today. I thought it was just going to be Moose and I for the all 2 hours today. And then Clark informed us the voice of the Edmonton Oilers. Yours and my longtime friend, Cam Moon, is going to be joining us from Edmonton on the heels of last night's big win over the Seattle Kraken. Cam Moon will be with us. No stranger to this program, the voice of the Edmonton Oilers. Let's rock. Speaking of Connor McDavid and Corey Perry, point one will be NHL leftovers. And just so you know, we've got NFL, CFL, a little NBA, NHL, a lot of things to get to here in the Quick Six Show topics. But Connor McDavid, Corey Perry scored in the second period. And Edmonton rallied to beat Seattle 4-2 for their third straight victory at Rogers Place. Meanwhile, in St. Louis, Connor Garland had 2 goals, and JT Miller and Pius Suter also scored to help Vancouver beat St. Louis 5-2. And Moose, I've been surrounded by Detroit fans a lot lately. Not just their fans, but people from Detroit. And they're really good people. And they would be happy to know that Marco Kasper scored twice. Lucas Raymond had a goal and 3 assists. And the Detroit Red Wings rallied to beat the LA Kings 5-2 Monday. Elmer Soderblom scored his first goal of the season. And Alex DeBrincat also scored as Detroit erased a 2-0 first period deficit. Cam Talbot stopped 23 shots to get the win and improved to 8-1 in January. So you've been buried for, would you say, 11 days in curling coverage? Is it nice to pull your head out and talk some hockey?
It is, and nice to watch SportsCenter this morning and get all caught up. When you're consumed, you've been there, consumed in something so deep for so long. It's like the rest of the world is blacked out, right? So yeah, can't wait to get back into it, and the Super Bowl and NFL playoffs and the NHL. Yeah.
Does that mean you don't have an opinion on what's going on in the NHL the last 11 days? Let alone last night.
Still keep my eyes on it. I'm ready to contribute today. I'm not just here to drink coffee and listen to you.
Okay, so, I'm going back here. I don't remember what was the last day that you did. It's been a while, bro. I think I either caught up or I might have even overtaken you on our picks. Just so you know, I'm not. I lead now 26-24 in our NHL breakaway bets. Not bragging or anything. It's just we'll be playing this a little later on today. Jeremy writes in from Winnipeg. He says, good to see the guys Yzerman has drafted making their mark in Detroit. Yes, but also those newcomers and new faces in Patrick Kane and DeBrincat, relatively new face. Tarasenko, Cam Talbot in goal. It's not just the homegrown guys, but there's a lot of different ways to build an NHL roster. I want your take on this. And you and I, we came into the new year. We tweaked our format a little bit. Everybody loved it. And then you took off. So we're going back to where we were with just slowing things down, spending a little more time on each topic. And I want your take on this, and the viewers too, for that matter. Because market research shows why we're so popular here on Game Plus Television is the viewer interaction. Nobody else does what we do. We do this Panthers and Lightning show down here in Florida, and I had Doug McLean on the most recent edition. We were going over what do the Panthers need? Because since December 1st, Darren, they're in the bottom half of the league for records since December 1st. And some guy wrote in, a Panther fan, and he goes, all they need is playoff hockey. And this guy is here in Florida, like he gets it. And I wonder what you think about that. For certain teams, like the Panthers, the Leafs, and I'm going to say the Oilers, because last night they just turned it on, scored 3 unanswered, and go on to win 4-2. I watched their game in Chicago. They walk through the first period, the Oilers, and then turn it on and come back and win. I feel like some teams, they're in the doldrums right now. Late January, and just, listen, we know we're going to be in the playoffs. Don't push us. That's when we'll turn it on. That's what I think that guy was right with what he said. The Panthers need playoff hockey. Probably so do the Leafs and the Oilers.
Yeah, I agree. And problem is, like, the complacency becomes an issue for the fans because you see this, and it's hard. In 82 games, it's hard to bring it with that same intensity because the games, I tell you, every game matters as much as any other game, but they don't. It's not the same, right? You got to give the guys a reason to get up for the game. And it's easy to say, it's one game if I take it off. It's just like a day of work. We all mail in a day of work here and there. You don't have the urgency. You don't feel the need. And when you're good and these teams are good, you can take a couple of nights off. I get it. I really do. But you do want to see teams turn it on when they need to. You need to see that proof so that you're confident when you get to the playoffs that they're actually going to be able to do it.
It's actually interesting you say that because the Kansas City Chiefs are that team. They pretty much had their pedal to the metal in the NFL all year long, more so than last year. But here they are going to their third straight Super Bowl. And trust me, football fans, we're getting to the chefs. Great googly moogly. 902-518-3033 is the number to text us here. Trent in Norway checks in. He says, Norway here, the Oilers seem to have a plan in place when McDavid isn't available. I predict the Eagles defeat the Chiefs in the last minute in the Super Bowl. Have a good day, everyone. I guess good time to move on. And we'll get to the Super Bowl 59 in a second. But again, here's me running 4 miles today listening to Mike Florio on Pro Football Talk. And he was talking about Brian Schottenheimer being named the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys on Friday night, but they had their news conference yesterday, Darren. I'm going to read the Wire story. Then I'll give my take and ask for yours and the viewer. Brian Schottenheimer says he's ready to be coach of the Dallas Cowboys after a long career as an NFL assistant. The son of late NFL coach Marty Schottenheimer says he has had previous opportunities to pursue head coaching jobs but didn't think he was ready. The younger Schottenheimer's chance with the Cowboys comes after 25 years in the league with a handful of college seasons as well. The 51-year-old is the 10th coach in the history of the storied franchise. He's the 7th hired by owner Jerry Jones since the last time the Cowboys reached an NFC championship game 29 years ago. Okay. Devin McCourty was on this morning with Florio. And my God, I wish I'd stopped Florio last year at Super Bowl and talked to him when I saw. I was too nervous. Next time I'll stop and talk to him. I know you're not a Cowboys fan. A lot of our viewers are. I don't know, were you aware that Jera held an hour-long news conference? I'm actually interested to hear that Schottenheimer actually said anything because all the quotes that I saw, the clips that I saw on ESPN Sports Center, heard on Pro Football Talk Radio, NBC Sports Radio this morning was all Jerry Jones. And Darren, stick with me for a second. This is sad because people that watch this show all the time understand where I'm coming from. They'll know that I'm a Cowboys fan, and we've been following this story for a long time. But you people are all just cluing into what we've been dealing with forever with Jerry Jones. And just so you know, Darren, McCourty said the same thing I thought. Was Schottenheimer even there? Because all we heard was from Jerry. Now, tell me what you think about this, because I think you've had a little experience with narcissists. I've had a lot. Jerry Jones is sitting at that table with Schottenheimer beside him, and he's going, people say this isn't the sexy hire. And, this is a really big risk. He's got no head coaching experience. He's burying him on the first day. Did you pick up on that? Did you notice that? Instead of, we think he's the best guy out there. Of all the guys we talked to, this guy is the guy that's going to lead us to the promised land, whether you believe it or not. And there's some people that are sitting there watching right now. Listen, hey, you're not that good looking, but I like you anyways. You'd be nobody without us, so you should be really happy to have us. You know what I mean? Here's Jerry burying him. And then before he's even coached a game. And the best one that Florio picked up on was they turned the mic over to Stephen Jones, the son of Jerry Jones, and he goes, people say we're in a drought. What do you mean people say? I just said you haven't been to a conference championship game in 29 years. People say we're in a drought. You see what we're dealing with there, Darren? See what we're dealing with? And ain't never.
You are in a drought. I know.
Exactly.
Oh, boy. I like Brian Schottenheimer. Do I like the hire? I don't know. But I like Brian Schottenheimer as a person. I like him as a football coach. He's got great bloodlines, right? Marty Schottenheimer, longtime, legend of a coach. And I really got to get familiar with Brian Schottenheimer when the Jets were on Hard Knocks. That was the Rex Ryan year. He was the offensive coordinator working closely with Mark Sanchez. To me, that's still the best season of Hard Knocks. And I've even gone back and watched it since because it's that good. And I really like him. I think and they were good. I think he's a well-liked guy, easy to root for. I think there's a lot of good things. But to me, this all screams, and I know he said they say Dion really wasn't an option. To me, and I wrote about it last week, this all screams to Dion being their guy. And, these teams, we look at Pittsburgh, but you say 10 coaches in the history of the Cowboys, they don't want to just go through coaches every year. So they gave Mike McCarthy a leash, and he was there a few years probably after they maybe knew that they were going to move on, that he wasn't going to get him where they needed to go. So you put Brian Schottenheimer in here, knowing after conversations maybe with Dion, this is my assumption, and Dion's like, I want to build this now. I'm here. I want to commit for a bit. So you kind of know he's going to stay there for 3, 4 years, 5 years, whatever. And Brian Schottenheimer, great guy, sharp football guy. He can sit there and hold the seat warm. You bring in somebody that's a really great John Gruden or somebody off the bench like that, or another up-and-coming coordinator, you're not going to move off of him. If he's kind of the guy, then you're stuck, and you'll never get Dion when he's ready. So here's an opportunity to keep the seat warm. The long-term plan maybe is to bring Dion in. But yeah, all the things you said about just, this guy's not a serious coach. This wasn't a serious hire. I think he's just keeping the seat warm for Dion.
Well, I could talk about this for a long time, and we will move on, but it's that whole thing about how some teams always win and how some teams always lose and the reasons why. Yes, people bring up to us, well, Jerry Jones did win 3 Super Bowls in the early 90s. Perhaps he did, but I can tell you something, Darren. I can't live off what I did 30 years ago. I can't live off what I did 20 years ago. I can't live off what I did last week. So I don't care that they won 3 Super Bowls 30 years ago. Do you know what I'm saying? That's number one. And then 2, you should have never paraded Deion Sanders in front of us. You should have never done that as a Cowboys nation, our fan base, because that's now who we want. You should have never even went down that road, because anybody lesser than him is going to be a disappointment, and that's exactly what happened. Jeremy in Winnipeg writes in, he says, Jerry, gaslighting the fans. Get rich. That's exactly what he's doing. For those that don't know, I'm glad these terms have come to the light now. What happens in the dark will be brought to light. Always. Telling people, I guess, lying about the truth and expecting you to believe it and lying about history is gaslighting. It's a disgusting thing. Before we break, we got a lot of really good stuff to get to. It's been great so far, eh? Like I said, it would be.
Oh, yeah.
Our poll question today is for EMJ marketing, and it dawned on me this morning while I was out for my run. I'm like, well, that would be a good poll question. I was asking myself, do you like the 2-week break before Super Bowl? And it's for EMJ marketing. They'll provide the perfect keynote speaker for your event. Look up Joe at emjmarketing.com. The poll question is, as I said, do you like the 2-week break? 70% of people saying, yes, they do. And to be honest, I have been involved in 4 national championship games, intimately involved with the teams. I don't know how the heck we got it done, because you win on a Sunday and then all of a sudden you're throwing stuff in a bag and racing off to that championship town. It's very rushed. So, we did that in the CFL. They still do that in the CFL. And I don't know if the CFL could get away with 2 weeks. But as far as the NFL goes, you've been to Super Bowls. I've been to Super Bowls. To get all the merch printed, Darren, to get the programs made, get the travel done properly, welcome, I don't know how many fans. If the Calgary Stampede welcomes 1.5 million people, or whatever the hell it is, like 1 million people, what does the Super Bowl welcome? I got to feel like it's got to be at least that. So for me, it's a hell yes. I love the 2 weeks, but how about you?
Yeah, I do too. More build up. I love the build up and the talk and the event and all of that stuff. The game is the game, and it's great, but I love the build up. So give me 2 weeks of it. I'm here for it.
Well, and again, Tony from Cochrane, Alberta writes in, he says, ho hum, another Chiefs-Eagles Super Bowl, but there's the Cowboys rant I was expecting yesterday. Oh, I know. You knew I was going to get to it at some point. But we're going to get sick of Chiefs-Eagles talk. At some point, we're going to get tired of it. Because you got a lot of channels there. My God. You should see what I got. From NFL Network, obviously the 18 ESPN channels, CBS Sports Network, FanDuel Sports Network, this other sports network. Like, it's going to be all Chiefs and Eagles. So for now, that's why they're talking about the, not just Jerry Jones and the Cowboys and Schottenheimer, but Pete Carroll. I'm not going to give up on my Cowboys. I just can't. There's something about this team that's intriguing to me, and I was trying to find a way, Darren, to get this on the set, but I don't know where I would put it. This is the Raiders team store. I got this at Super Bowl last year. But if I went and cheered for the Raiders, it would just be going from one toxic grease fire to another. You know what I mean? And the Dolphins aren't that much better. Anyways, we have to break. It's fun. We're going to have more fun. And Cam Moon, the voice of the Oilers, is coming up in hour 2. We'll be right back here on Game Plus Television, streaming live and podcast wherever the best podcasts are found.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, honey, can you get one of the kids to show me how this Twitter thing works? Honey, I need to get on Instagram. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hey, everybody, it may take weeks, months, or even years to get the call to be a stem cell donor. Saving lives takes commitment and dedication, just like being a hockey player. Give hope to patients in Canada. Register online at blood.ca/getswabbed. and spread the word amongst your family and friends. The Moose is back in Toronto, joining us after like 11 days off calling curling. I'm just going to read you this comment. I think you'll understand it. Brian in Hudson Bay writes in and he says, "Good morning, guys. Welcome back, Moose. I love the curling. You did a great job, but unfortunately, I watched most of it with the TV on mute, and it had nothing to do with you. I will leave it at that. Have a great show, guys." Does that have to do with the competitors?
I actually don't know. I'm
okay.
DM me. I'd love to know more.
I'm just reading into it. Yeah. We'll continue all this in a second. Talking about the poll, we'll get back on point in a second. But regarding the poll question, do you like the 2-week break before Super Bowl? I said yes. Darren said yes. I compared it to the Grey Cup, where it's only 1 week and it's so rushed. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says the Grey Cup is rushed, but at least they have an extra day now. Bomber Boy is watching in Calgary, and he says they have the break for a good reason, but I don't like it. BW in Edmonton watching says, isn't the Pro Bowl before the Super Bowl now? Always has been, but they don't even have the Pro Bowl anymore. It's this flag, nothing against flag. Darren and I are big flag football fans, but it's a skills contest, flag game, and they do it this upcoming weekend in Orlando. But thanks for paying attention. And by the way, somebody wrote in here, I lost it, but it was with regards to Jerry didn't want to pay the money, the buyout it would have taken to get Deion Sanders out of Colorado. Can I tell you a little story? Darren, I'm realizing maybe why some people don't like me. I don't really care. But we had a coach that I felt needed to be fired. He had a as a GM, and he had a half a season left on his contract. And I was talking to the owner, and I said, he's got to go. Because we had these discussions. And he goes, no, Rod, you don't understand. It's bad business to buy somebody out of their contract. And I said, well, the longer you wait, when he knows he's going to be done, he's going to drive this franchise even further into the ground. And he's like, well, it's my money and it's my team, and I'm waiting till the end of the year to fire him. And I'm like, okay, I think that got back to that general manager, and I think that's why he's mad at me now. But the point is, the owner was a businessman. Okay, see what I'm saying? And my thing on this is, if somebody's got to go, they got to go. Pay them out, because they're just going to inflict more damage. Here, as everybody seems to know, Jerry Jones doesn't want to pay Colorado the money to get Deion Sanders in Dallas. So you're just going to burn years with Brian Schottenheimer? Like, call me crazy if you want. Many have. I own 2 businesses. They classify as small business, not the $12 billion Dallas Cowboys. But, Darren, if I want something or someone, I go get them. End of story. Because it's going to cost you more money in the long run by waiting. But I would say the successful owners see it my way. The unsuccessful owners see it the other way. You just said it. They see the line. It's going to cost too much right now. And I feel like they don't see the bigger picture. That's all. That's what I would do if I wanted Prime. Go get him.
Yeah.
It's just me. You?
Yeah, of course, if you can get him. I think there's something like, I don't know, like Prime leaving and following the boys was noble. I get that. But to Jackson State, got him built up and poof, 2 years gone. And then to do the same thing in Colorado after building it up and then poof, leaving, I think would have, like, that act is going to get old pretty quick, you know? So I think, and there's no guarantee that the Cowboys are going to get Shedeur and all the rest. So I think, you know, for Deion too, though, I think there's probably part of him that's like, I'm going to commit to this for a bit in Colorado. You know, if I'm not going to coach the boys, I'm going to, like his kids, I'll stay here for a bit and build this and continue that and then go to the Cowboys. Like, I'm sure there was, I don't know, but I just see the conversation like, Jerry, if this job was open, give me 5 years and then I want the job. But that's a tough thing because what is Jerry doing? He's hiring a seat warmer or a seat filler then. And what are you doing to your fan base? Saying, okay, guys, we're just going to commit to doing the same thing for the next 5 years. And then we'll be serious about winning. Because you're not serious about winning by just hiring the easy hire from within.
I admire you. Well, that part's true, but I admire you, Grasshopper, for believing that. But I think if Jerry was willing to write Colorado the check and get Prime now, Prime would have gone. He didn't care about loyalty, or he wouldn't care. Come on. All of a sudden he cares. He didn't care in Jackson State. Now, the other funny thing was what Florio and McCourty said. Let's just imagine he did hire Deion Sanders. He goes, what do you think that news conference would be like? Jerry would launch into his first, 30-minute monologue, and Brian would say, oh, Jerry, I got this. I got this, Jerry. Can you imagine? And Jerry would sit there just...
You think they cover the Cowboys 24/7 now? Wait until that.
Don't worry.
Look at their own
coming.
channel on ESPN Cowboys.
It's coming. Now, they already do have their own channel. That's the thing. I don't need to follow Dallas media because ESPN, that's all they do is talk about the Cowboys. Alabama, I don't need to go searching for their games. They're always on television every weekend. Those are my teams. That's why I don't switch real easily when it comes to football. Now, here's another one that can translate to hockey or any other sport. But point 3, Aaron Glenn had no doubts about where he wanted to go once the New York Jets head coaching job became available. Home, sweet, NFL home. Once a key player as a first-round draft pick for the franchise, Glenn will lead the Jets from the sideline after interviewing with 3 other teams in recent weeks. With the recent hirings of Glenn and Mike Vrabel by the Patriots, the NFL has 5 coaches who once played for the teams they're now leading. They join Houston's DeMeco Ryan, Detroit's Dan Campbell, and the Chargers' Jim Harbaugh. How do you feel about former players coaching teams? Dion would have been 6. I love it. I love it so much. And it means something. In the NHL, I saw a trivia question. I think there's 3 guys that played for the team they're currently coaching. Peter Laviolette with the Rangers, Rod Brindamore with the Hurricanes, Andrew Burnett with the Preds. Do you think that's special? I do.
Yeah, I really do. I'm a big fan of sticking with your team, longevity, not making a bunch of moves, that identity and brand building. Like I love brand. And brand is, to me, is reputation. It's not necessarily logos and websites and graphics. It's your reputation. And when you build a reputation and everybody knows what it is because of the people, because the people really build the reputation. And that's when you have something special, right? The people, the characters stick around. The Pittsburgh Penguins, yeah, they're not great right now, but they have a great reputation because of Crosby and Malkin and Letang and them. And before that, Mario and Yager, right? Ron Francis, all these guys. You got to stick around. And when you can go from playing to coaching, from Mario to being there and then owning the team, if Mario went somewhere else, it wouldn't feel as good. It wouldn't be the same. Same thing with Ron Hextall when he went into the front office and of the Philadelphia Flyers. That stuff all matters. I really think it matters, and it means more when you stick with your same team.
For the audience, Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, RP show fact check. The Pro Bowl used to be after Super Bowl until about 10 years ago or so. So sorry to BW on that. I don't mind. Like I say, you don't need to be right anymore. That's a topic for another time. Stephen A. Smith is proving you just got to be the loudest. Kevin Bieksa was wrong the other night on Hockey Night in Canada saying Connor Bedard will be upset in Chicago that the Blackhawks got rid of Taylor Hall. I'm like, he didn't play with Taylor Hall. I just watched 2 games live. You don't need to be You don't need to be right. You just need to be entertaining. I got that covered. Well, that's the other thing. Jeremy says Mike Vrabel's going to get the Patriots rocking. There's no doubt. He is. So I saw the photo the other day of Dale Durkach. He's working for the Regina Pats, God's team. The franchise's all-time leading scorer is the assistant general manager. That stuff means a lot to me. We've got Cam Moon coming up in hour 2, the hometown boy, voice of the Edmonton Oilers. I interviewed for that job years ago. Obviously didn't get it. Cam got it this most recent time around. How can anybody begrudge that? He's from Edmonton. He's the Oiler guy. To me, if I owned a team, I would want the peanut vendors, the ticket takers, all to be local. But there's more than one way to skin a cat. Sorry, Moose and the PETA people. Listen, I don't even know one way. I hear there's more than one way to skin a cat. I remember sitting down with John Paddock when he was the general manager of the Regina Pats back in the day and coach. And I said, hey, we're big on local players here. He goes, yeah, I'm not.
How about that?
He goes, I don't care where they're from. They just need to win. We win, nobody will care where they're from. Okay, what do you know? Then they go to the league final with no local players, and there's a lineup outside the rink to get in. More than one way to skin a cat. Kirk writes in 902-518-3033. Kirk in Toronto. He says, hey, your poll says it's 69% no. They don't like the 2-week break. I prefer 1 week like the CFL. But it's the NFL and the only North American league that does this. Okay, fair enough. We're going to get back, get to a lot of hockey here, but there's some CFL notes. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers released Canadian receiver Drew Wolodarski on Monday. Canadian only by some quirk that he fits the rules because he's from Minnesota, University of Minnesota anyways. He was 29 years old, won 2 Grey Cups there. Move comes just days after the club parted ways with veteran linebacker Adam Bighill. Meanwhile, Shane Ray is back in the CFL. The veteran D lineman signed with the Rough Riders on Monday, returns to Canada following 2 seasons in the NFL with the Bills and Titans, won a Super Bowl with the Denver Broncos, who drafted him in the first round 2015. And the Calgary Stampeders have released veteran American D lineman Mike Rose and James Vaughters. Both joined the Stampeders back in 2017. Presumably they're due bonuses. It says Wolodarski was. People are upset. It's a rite of passage, man. It's like Groundhog's Day. CFL cutting players ahead of bonuses. It's skeezy. But it's been going on since Christ was a cowboy. Why are people surprised, Moose? Does it suck? Yes.
I don't know.
It's the way they do business.
I know, and it's really tough. Really tough. And you think about those 2 players specifically. They were so synonymous with the Bombers and the Bombers' success. But in all sports, and we've seen it in the CFL, the great managers, coaches, GMs, whoever's making the roster decisions, they know when that best before date is. We don't. We always think these players never expire, right? And the good ones know when to pull the trigger, and they're hard. You got to make the hard decisions. Do I think these are right? I don't know, because I love those 2 players in Winnipeg. I can't see them playing anywhere else. I see them in Winnipeg. I thought they were good for the city. They were good for the fan base, all the rest. I'm a big fan. But I got to defer to the football people. And if they know, we'll know, right? We'll know. Because they'll, if the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are good, then these decisions were probably right.
I said this yesterday when it came down. The Canadian Mafia. Mike O'Shea, Kyle Walters, Wade Miller. They've won, so they're beyond reproach. I saw a Saskatchewan podcaster saying the Bombers have entered a rebuild. I'm like, you're only saying that because you're a Rider fan, trying to be a podcaster. They've been in 5 consecutive Grey Cups. You don't go into a rebuild until you've hit absolute rock bottom. The Bombers are literally retooling. It's not a rebuild. Yes. You want to believe that, but it's not. There are those that say the Bombers are in the middle of a dynasty. Milt Stiegel. What's Milt smoking? Okay, let's check Milt for performance-enhancing drugs or something. It's not a dynasty, but they've been in 5 consecutive Grey Cups. It's not a rebuild, but nice try. We'll be back with more in a moment. Cam Moon coming up in hour 2. We're live on Game Plus TV, streaming live and podcasts wherever the best podcasts are found.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven. And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
It's going good, Spike. It's going real good. Hour one's brought to you by Culligan. Drink clean, live green. Filter your water for a healthier tomorrow. Culligan Water of Regina. Visit CulliganRegina.com. Saskatchewan's still our #1 region for viewership. That should surprise no one. However, Moose, I should tell you, my friend Chris from the Bronx, you met him. You met him. He texted me here. He says, good stuff on Jerry Jones and Schottenheimer. Elisa laughed. That's his wife. I said, hey, I know narcissists. You're all welcome. The viewers missed you, Moose. They're writing in and actually saying that. Wayne in Victoria, BC says, by the way, welcome back, Moose. We all missed you. Blaine Dodge writes in. He says, good to see Darren and Rod. Jeremy in Winnipeg says regarding that Bomber thing, he goes, doesn't a dynasty mean winning? And Jeff, the Stamps fan, says to Rider fans, I'll say this, the Bombers are closer to a dynasty than you've ever been. The thing for you, going back to Sask, you get to see family and stuff, right? Let's slow things down a little bit and talk about you and me a little bit. What else did you do besides broadcast curling at a very high level?
Yeah, got to see some family and friends, which was great. Spent a few days back home in Wynyard and got to hang out with my nephews and my brother and his family. It was awesome. Cold. It was cold. It was 45 below and 50 below with the wind chill. It was awful cold. Spent some time in Saskatoon, had coffee with yours and my good friend Les Lazaruk yesterday. And then in Kindersley, that's where I got my start in this business. So it was good to go back there for curling and get to connect with everybody. And the red carpet was rolled out in Kindersley.
You're going to have to come down here and hand deliver a bobblehead. Do you have it within arm's grasp, the new bobblehead you got?
It's just, yep.
Go get it. Everybody, this Moose, he just said, spent time with our good friend Les Lazaruk, my brother from another mother, the voice of the Saskatoon Blaze,
How
as
about
his own
that?
bobblehead.
Look at that.
Yeah, you're going to have to bring that down. Will you bring it to Florida so I can put it on my bookcase?
Absolutely. I've got one ready for you, and it's in a box. If I trust it enough, the styrofoam is pretty thick, so I'm probably going to pop it in the mail this week for you.
Oh, no. You bring it down. Bring it down.
That would be better. Okay.
We've bought an extra bed in the bedroom for you so you don't need to sleep on a fluffy air mattress like the last time you were here that deflated overnight. And you didn't even know. You didn't even know. You woke up. You're like, what the hell? You're on the floor.
Woke up on the floor.
Yeah. I got this Connor Bedard bobblehead while I was in Chicago. Thanks for asking about my Chicago trip, by the way.
I was on the air when you
saw
saw. No, I wasn't.
You weren't on the air. No, you weren't. You saw me talking about it. It was so cold.
How cold was it, Rod?
How about
it was so cold, I was standing on the subway platform, the L train, beside Wrigley Field. Cold enough that, you know those thoughts that run through your mind that you feel bad for the people that have to work outside and for the pets that are trapped outside, that get locked outside the house? I was that cold. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to die. And it was actually minus 28. So it was my first time to Chicago. Did I ride the subway in New York? No, I think it scared me off. For a prairie kid, you're the same as me. The subway?
Yeah.
I would still be riding the damn thing. If it was left up to me, I wouldn't know where I was going. So it was our first time to Chicago, cold as hell. And as Serena and I said, we had such a great time. We can't wait to go back. And it was so bloody cold. I can't imagine going back in the spring or the summer for a baseball trip or, the fall. We can incorporate football. But yeah, we really love Chicago. I got my Connor Bedard bobblehead. And I'll say this about deep dish pizza. So many people took a real interest in our sampling deep dish pizza there. My favorite was Lou Malnati's. I don't know if you saw, they acknowledged me on Twitter, Lou Malnati's in Chicago. She ordered a spinach and tomato pizza, which would normally make me puke. And it was the best thing I ever had. I said to her,
wow,
imagine if it actually had toppings on it that I liked. Lou Malnati's. So we went to two other places, Giordano's and Luke's. Next time we go back, Gino's East. Dale Talon told us we had to go to Gino's East, but it was closed. It was holiday weekend. It was closed. Hey, we got to go back to Chicago. Okay. Really great town. Okay, 902-518-3033 is the number to text us here. The Toronto Raptors won their fourth NBA game in a row with a 113-104 decision against the visiting New Orleans Pelicans. Jakob Poeltl co-led the Raptors with 21 points and 14 rebounds. You are there in Toronto. Am I right? They care about the Raps in Toronto when they're winning. Is that a thing?
Feels like it. Yeah, it feels like it. I haven't been to a game this year, but it feels like the crowds, reflect the season, whereas the other teams, they'll fill it regardless. Even the Jays were bad and they got great crowds this year. Raptors, there's a lot of Raptors fans. I see the gear out, but you're right. They only really get on fire here if they're doing well.
What I understand is that the Raptors are very big in Mississauga. I don't know the demographics of your breakdown. Shoot, I'm still trying to figure out the demographics where I live. You people got to understand something. Where Darren and I come from, they're slowly getting it. And Chris from the Bronx has figured it out now. We're from white Canada. At least that's the way we grew up. It's not so much that now. It's becoming more of a cultural melting pot, but sports-wise, it's not. You still only cheer for one team. I totally get why all those guys said Saskatchewan's just like Alabama, just like Mississippi. The football team is king, and it's all anybody cares about. We all grew up. We all look the same. We're all related. We all talk the same. We all have the same backgrounds. It's pretty easy. You come down to Florida, and only 1 in 4 Floridians was actually born in America. Everybody cheers for a different team. And that's just from the sports realm. You know what I mean? It's just so different. I guess that serves as my sports update, which is brought to you by Landmark Cinemas. The Raptors was my sports update. On you, Luke, everybody was confused. What was your sports update? Have you been to you probably haven't been to a movie lately.
You know what? It's been a while since I've been to a movie. We're going this week. I think we're going Wednesday, just deciding what we're going to see. Haven't been to movies since Christmas Day.
You might want to consider Flight Risk. It's number one at the box office. It's in Landmark Cinemas now. In this high-stakes suspense thriller directed by Mel Gibson, Mark Wahlberg plays a pilot transporting a fugitive to trial. As they cross the Alaskan wilderness, tensions soar and trust is tested, as not everyone on board is who they seem. Dun, dun, dun. Flight Risk.
How about that?
In Landmark Cinemas now. Yeah. Okay, Moose, take a break. Smoke him if you got him. I'll bring you back at the top of the hour.
See ya. See you then.
We got a mini overtime next. Let's call it the shootout right after this here on Game Plus TV. Streaming live and podcast wherever the best podcasts are found.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Did you know you can catch all the best moments from the show on all our social media platforms? Now, back to the studio with Rod.
I'm smiling because you people's comments are really entertaining me. You found the bell. 902-518-3033 is the number to text us here. I appreciate my guy, Tony, in George Fox country. That's Cochrane, Alberta. He says, the Raptors are rolling. I'm a faithful watcher. I would talk more NBA because I'm simply a fan, and that's all you need to be, I think, to host one of these shows is be a sports fan. But our studies show our audience likes hockey and football more. I like hockey and football more. I could talk more NBA, and I have some of the sports update here if you want. Tony goes on to say, I should have mentioned Matt Devlin and Jack Armstrong as two of the best sports broadcasters on TV. Not only are they two of the best sports broadcasters, everybody, that's the Raptors crew. They're two unbelievable guys. Jack Armstrong I've never met, but Devlin, for whatever reason, he seems to like me. And we've conversed back and forth on Twitter, and he's like, have you ever come to a Raptors game? Let's hook up at the Miami Arena. And I think I'll do that. It's just, it's not easy to get down there. It's only 40 miles away, but it's a real pain in the ass. Regarding our fandom of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Wayne in BC writes, and he says, you nailed it, Rod. You grow up cheering for the Riders. You do, but some of us also leave and get interested in other things. So I hope people can appreciate that. Interestingly enough, Jeremy, that Bomber fan, sorry, no, not a Bomber fan. He's a Chiefs fan and Detroit Red Wings fan. He writes in and he says, not really a CFL guy, but it isn't a dynasty 3 championships? So the Chiefs already a dynasty, so that makes Winnipeg not a dynasty. I'm with you, Jeremy, but I don't want to argue. B. Henderson in Winnipeg says, great stuff as usual, Rod. Which, by the way, I think what it is just entertain you. You don't really care what we talk about as long as you're entertained, and I think we do a pretty good job of that. B. Henderson says, quick question. If the Bombers win the Grey Cup this year, then would you consider them a dynasty like Milt Stegall does? I don't know. I'd have to think about it. I would suggest probably, but as the gentleman said, 3 in a row generally constitutes a dynasty. 3 championships in a row. Like the Lightning, for instance, who are home tonight to the Chicago Blackhawks, felt that they failed in their quest to win 3 in a row because they lost right to Colorado in that 3rd straight. It's a 9-team league, for the love of God. The fact that they've been in 5 in a row is what should be investigated, how this has been allowed to happen. John in Edmonton writes in, he says, Rod, thoughts on NFL fans starting a petition on change.org to have the league investigate the officiating of the Kansas City Chiefs games? I would say save your money and put it to somewhere that actually matters, like some charity. But I do want to get into this with Moose next hour on the officiating. I can't believe we've gone this far. I have it written down here. Moose's take. Stick with me and repeat after me. The games aren't rigged, but the Chiefs are favored. The games aren't rigged, but the Chiefs are favored. There's a difference. Oh, yeah. I really want to get into that with Moose after the break. I mean, even I knew, a numbskull like me, at the 2009 Grey Cup in Calgary, when the commissioner stood at the front of the room and I was in the room saying to the riders, we're all so happy you're here. And he's leaning on the Grey Cup at the time, Mark Cohen. I'm like, I don't think you're supposed to say that, Mark. But he didn't care. It's a lesson to everybody. Don't care what other people think. It helps. We got our NHL breakaway bets to get to next hour. I want to talk about Alex Pietrangelo pulling out of the Four Nations face-off. Yesterday was such a grease fire that we weren't able to get to it to the degree that I would like. Are you offended if a Canadian player pulls out of the Four Nations face-off international or NHL tournament? Lots to get to. Stick around. We'll be right back.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the City of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Ryan McCarthy, watching in upstate New York, says, why does Saskatchewan have the best town names? Paradise Hill, Moose Jaw. Well, he says Flin Flon, and that's actually Manitoba. And frankly, I'm partial to Medicine Hat.
How about that?
I also learn something every day. We learned today that Flin Flon, Manitoba stands for Flint to Betty Floniton, a fictional character from a 1905 novel.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yeah, buddy. Thank you, Rick Regan. Here we are on Game Plus Television. It's national across Canada, and 32 U.S. states are appearing in. Got a lot of viewers, so they tell me. I am in the South Florida studio. If you needed to know, Moose is back in the Toronto studio. Les Lazaruk joins us, the voice of the Saskatoon Blades, and we're just going to keep on rolling. Moose, there's a lot of topics that I want to get to that we haven't yet. Our poll question today is for EMJ Marketing. They'll provide the perfect keynote speaker for your event. Look up Joe at emjmarketing.com to book yours. The poll question is, do you like the 2-week break before Super Bowl? Darren and I both said yes. There you go. That's all you need to know about EMJ Marketing. And Clark, if you don't mind, what are they saying on YouTube? Because on Twitter, the majority is saying, yeah, they like it. 73% say no, which is interesting. There's no patience in today's world. B. Henderson writes in from Winnipeg and says, regarding the break, I love it.
gives players time to heal and fans time to party and soak it all in. Plus, don't forget about the hardcores who will drive all the way there. So that's BW's take on that. Let's just revisit that for a second before we move on to the Chiefs officiating thing. What's not to love? Like that Lisa Brokop song. What's not to love? One of my favorite songs.
I know. It's look, like, it's funny. You're talking last hour, and I know you wanted to get into the Chiefs and the penalties and all the rest, but I think this is such a conversation that is taken away from everything that's going on, in sport. We had two great games. I mean, the Philadelphia Washington game was not great. We were watching it over our shoulder a little bit. It was okay, but it was a blowout. The Chiefs Bills game was an all-timer. Forget about the officials. It was an all-time great football game. Take that aside. If you could appreciate it for what it is, the problem is too many people watch the game just wanting Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs to lose. But if you can just go into that game appreciating great football, I think you're pretty happy coming out of the weekend, especially coming out of that one.
I'm not with you on that one there, Cowboy. Which is fine.
That's fair.
I was watching it in the living room. I was in Wellington, Florida, in Brent and Bree's living room watching the game. And Brent and I were both on the fight between the Bills' safety and Xavier Worthy over the ball, and they went to the ground, and it turned out the ball touched the ground, and the Chiefs receiver ended up with the ball. I mean, come on. I feel when you got to go and read the fine print of the rule book on a rule, that was not a catch. Wasn't an interception either. It hit the ground. All of a sudden, they're scrimmaging from the 3. What? So you clearly don't feel there's any favoring at all. Because, as I said before the break, you weren't part of the discussion. I said, they're not rigging the games. They're not fixing the games. They're not. But they are favoring the Chiefs. There's a difference, and you can't convince me otherwise. But I feel like you don't feel that way. You don't feel the NFL is favoring the Chiefs.
No, I don't know if I go that far. I'm with you on that they're not fixing the games. I don't think the games are being fixed. I think my whole point on it is I don't worry about what the officials do. I just appreciate the game. It's hard to argue, though, that they're not favoring the Chiefs. I can't sit here and argue and say they're not favoring the Chiefs, Rod. Come on, they're not.
You can't argue.
I can't argue that. I can't. I just can't. I can argue and say that was a great football game. Forget about the reffing stuff. I really enjoyed the football game, what I saw of it, and went back and watched a little bit of it. And it was a great football game. But you're right. When there's so many things that line up, and it always favors the Chiefs in that situation, and you see the replay or Josh Allen on the on the 1 yard play, the quarterback sneak, the tush push. Everybody is pretty sure that he got it twice and never did. Turned the ball over, all the rest. That's a really hard pill to swallow if you're a Buffalo Bills fan watching that for sure. One thing I will say, they bring up the stats and say, look, the Chiefs and the penalties against them versus the penalties they've taken, and they're at the top of the stats. Typically, teams take penalties against good football teams because when good football teams are playing good football, it's hard to stop them, and you end up taking penalties naturally. But, this has become more than just conspiracy theories coming out of the dark web. This is seeped into mainstream everywhere, this conversation. So there is something to it.
Yeah, because there's nothing hidden here. Like, was COVID planned? Was it lab made? We don't know. I saw with my own eyes the ball hit the ground. I saw Josh Allen get a first down. Okay? And they ruled exactly the opposite. So this is not hidden. It's in front of everybody. And by the way, you got Tony Romo doing color on CBS, calling out the refs. You got Troy Aikman on Fox the week before, Chiefs against Texans, calling out the refs. That's not a good look for the NFL, which before I read a really interesting comment here from a viewer, I wondered how the NFL would deal with this because you can't really hold a news conference and have Roger Goodell stand at a podium and say, we're not fixing games. Our refs just missed it. Can't have that. Or our replay crew. What's he going to say? So what they're doing is controlling the message, and I'm not going to say how I know, but NFL Radio and the NFL Network are owned by the NFL, and they've directed their hosts on what to say. Oh, that's how you do it. You try to control the message. No. What? You don't agree?
No.
Because that is what's happening.
No. Bill Burr was on with Rich Eisen on Rich's show. Now, Rich's show, I think it's on Roku or somewhere else. But Rich is the face of NFL Network, and Bill just fed it to him in a funny, respectful, polite way. He's like, oh, yeah, company man, reading the company message, for sure. I get it.
Right, which I've had the shoe on both feet. Hang on, Bentley, I'm going to get to your comment here. But again, I got to relate everything to the Canadian Football League because that's where I spent the bulk of my time. But we're in the 2017 East Final, BMO Field, Toronto. You know where I'm going with this. Mitch Marner and Mike Babcock were there together. Figure that one out. They went together. True story. And I don't know how much time was left in the game, but our quarterback, Kevin Glenn, got clotheslined like his head was almost taken off, like a Dexter movie. Right in front of Glenn Johnson, right in front of him. And he just stood there like a statue and looked at it. And if I'm not mistaken, Kevin got knocked out of the game on this clothesline, and I screamed on the air, looks like Toronto, looks like the CFL wants Toronto in a Grey Cup. Oh, my God. To say I got lambasted, Darren. And to be honest, I don't really care because it's how I felt. But the worst part was when I got out of the league, I had people coming to me saying, you were right. And that just pissed me off even more. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, you guys all said I was crazy. You all said I was a conspiracy theorist. And I knew. There's a bias. There's teams being favored. It does happen. It's not saying it was rigged. I'm not saying that. Bentley writes in, he was a CFL official, by the way. This is where we got some credibility here on the field. He says, hey, Rod, everyone says officiating is fixed for the Chiefs. Lots of talk, but have any of the experts ever worked a game? Doubtful. If they only knew what goes into officiating football, rules, nights, clinics, exams, so much that people don't know, as well as most people do not know the rules. Best comment I've ever heard when telling a fan he was wrong. Well, it should be, and that's what I'd call. Plus, we're calling in split second, not sitting on your butts, reviewing things over and over and over. Take care, Bentley, Beletsky, Regina. Yeah, he was on the field making the calls, but what he's missing here, Bentley, respectfully, I get that a ref might miss that the ball touched the ground. When it goes to New York, and you got a room full of guys and 37 angles that all see that it hit the ground and it's still called a catch, that's my whole thing, Darren. When they screw up a review of a black and white situation, explain that to me, please. Explain that to me.
Yeah, that's really tough. When you have the reviews and you have the angles and you slow it down, you got to get that right. You just have to get that right. And you got to look back and don't just sit there and wonder. Everybody's watching this. Millions of people are seeing this. If we try and slough this off, the evidence is there. How do we hide this? But they did.
Well, did they? Because the whole country's talking about a few countries. Yeah, things are happening fast. Navy Don is watching in Ottawa. He writes in, he says, it's the penalties at the critical moments in the game seem to favor the Chiefs. Yes, that's what we're saying, and it's very tough to explain if you're the NFL. So you don't explain it. You tell your hosts to talk about something else. Where's my bell? It's 1:11 Eastern, Darren. I'm just pointing that out. What's that?
Nice. No, I caught it at the same time. That's all. I said 1:11.
Joshua Dorr writes in.
Beautiful.
He's here in South Florida. He says, what's going on, Rod? And then he says, moose. He's a regular watching our South Florida Tribune podcast. And if he's got time, he dips in on the RP show. So, hey, Josh, Joshua Dorr, pleased to meet you. He's a good guy. By the way, Scott Morganroth, the Motor City Madmouth, says you're intimidated by him, Josh, just so you know. I'll just leave that with you. To the actual Super Bowl matchup, there's the talk of Chief fatigue. I don't have it. I don't. And that's the one thing. I don't bet. I don't. We play sport betting, Darren and I, but we don't put any money on it. So I don't really care who wins. And if the Chiefs get back to the Super Bowl, which, by the way, I'm not saying the games are rigged, but I am saying they're favored. There's a difference. If you know, you know. I'm not tired of them. I'm not. Are you?
I'm not tired of the Chiefs, and I'm on record. I wanted the Bills and Commanders to be in the Super Bowl. That was my favorite matchup. I like this story of these fan bases that have gone through a lot of pain to get the chance to win something. And that's what I wanted. So I was a Buffalo fan for a day. I was a Washington fan for a day. That was my ideal. But this isn't bad. This is going to be great. We're all sitting here wondering if they can win. Can the Chiefs win a third in a row? And for all the people who think that it's rigged and on the refs and all the rest, they're going to be sitting here with a bunch of anxiety, hoping the Chiefs lose. And that's great, too. But it happens. It happened with Brady. We were all hated Brady when he was successful. We all hated LeBron being successful, and probably Michael Jordan too, although I don't remember much of that because I was pretty young. I was just a fan. We always hate success when it's like that. We want somebody new to win. We get tired. That's natural, but I don't know. I think the Chiefs are great for the game. I really do.
I know you're speaking somewhat metaphorically, but speak for yourself and everybody else. I'm not tired of the Chiefs. I wasn't tired of Tom Brady. I wasn't tired of Tiger Woods. I admire greatness. And if you can stay on top for that long, I admire it. I don't get tired of it. And I realize at the time, what we're watching is special. That's how I feel. Ron in Calgary writes in from the 403. He says, morning, Rod and Moose. Gee, it's not like we've never seen corruption in sports, eh? Well, that's the problem. And we talked about this on the Cats and Bolts podcast. What proof is there ever, besides boxing, that these games are rigged? Because there is no proof, yet people feel that there is. And the fact that the NFL, number one, I'm saying they're favoring the Chiefs, but I'm not saying they're rigging the games. Get it through your heads, everybody. And then to steer the discussion elsewhere, that's how the games have changed. I made a living talking about the controversial things. That's why my shows are always number one. But you're not really allowed to do that. That's discouraged by the leagues anymore. And I used to come down here and do these camps, broadcast live from our free agent camps on the field. But then over time, the teams would come to me, the PR people, the coaches, and say, don't say this, don't say that, say this, say that. And I'm like, here's your freaking headset, bro. You do the effing show. That's where it is now. Do you know what I mean? And I don't want that.
Yeah.
If you want a robot, go hire a damn robot. And that's, again, there's nothing wrong with that. But they want to couch everything you say. I don't. We got a minute to get through our NHL picks, Darren. Winnipeg at Montreal tonight. Who wins?
Winnipeg.
Me too. Chicago at Tampa Bay.
Tampa.
Me too. Boston at Buffalo. Sabres for me.
Buffalo.
Okay. Carolina at the Rangers.
Carolina.
I'll take the Rangers. Colorado at Islanders.
I'll take the Islanders.
Okay, I got the Avs. Washington at Calgary.
Washington.
I'll take the Flames. Dallas at Vegas.
Vegas.
Me too. Stars whumped them last week. And Anaheim at Seattle.
I'll take the Kraken.
You will get Kraken? I will take the Ducks. You're done for the day, Moose. Thank you. Great job. Nice to see you back.
Awesome. Good to be back.
We're going to Edmonton. The voice of the Edmonton Oilers from 880 CHED. Cam Moon joins us next. We're live here on the Game Plus TV network, streaming live and podcasts wherever the best podcasts are found.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Welcome back, everybody. We're live on Game Plus Television. That is Channel 924, TELUS TV. Rogers, Shaw, Channel 230. Did you hear? Connor McDavid and Corey Perry scored in the second period, and the Edmonton Oilers rallied to beat Seattle 4-2 for their third straight win at Rogers Place last night. Cam Moon called it on 880 Ched, and he joins us on the program today. Cam, welcome back. How are you, my good friend?
Hey, thanks for, doing very well. Thanks for having me.
Oh, God. Cam, how did that one play out last night? I went to bed long before it was over. Tell me how it looked from your vantage point.
Well, it was a Seattle Kraken team that hasn't had a lot of success against Edmonton really since their inception. The Oilers, with that win last night, that's 8 straight against Seattle, and they've only lost 2 of 13 against them since day one. But the Kraken played hard, and I'll give them credit. They battled, and if not for some quality and timely net minding by Calvin Pickard, it could have been a different story. Oilers had to dig in a bit. They get Connor McDavid back after the 3-game suspension. So there's a little bit of juice to the lineup, to the atmosphere in the rink, and you could feel it. You could definitely feel that, but it wasn't an easy win. They really had to dig in. And it was earlier in the year the team was in Seattle, and I didn't think the Kraken played very well. The Oilers won that game by a 4-2 margin. Philip Grubauer played well in net to keep it close, and I thought Seattle was a lot better in the one last night. But yeah, Edmonton found a way to get it done. Connor scores in his return. Corey Perry gets the breakaway goal. I mean, he was wide open in behind the D. Great pass by Darnell Nurse. But to me, it started with Calvin Pickard in net.
Okay, well, listen, it's something I need to get to.
Okay.
Has to do with your boy Randy Moller. But hang on.
Oh, yes.
You brought up Pickard. Didn't he just play last week? Like, why are they playing him so much, Cam? He's playing great, but what's the deal?
Well, last night, Stuart Skinner wasn't even available. He wasn't even on the bench. His wife just had their second baby, so he was busy with that. So they had a baby boy yesterday. So Tyler Palmer gets called from the University of Alberta Golden Bears, and he was on the bench. He took warm-up. It's his first season with the Bears. He'd played in Everett and Victoria in the Western Hockey League, having a great season with the Bears. I believe he's 11-4, so he's played well. So that was the situation there. But both goaltenders have played well here for Edmonton. Really since it was rocky off the start of the year, and that was for everything, whether that be the penalty kill, the power play, the netminders, all of it. And it continued to improve upon that. I mean, it had nowhere to go but up, but it did. And you expected it would. But when Pickard's played, what is he now, 12-4? I think he's 9-1 in his last 10 starts. So, Pickard has given him quality minutes between the pipes. And I mean, Stuart Skinner, the game before against Buffalo probably deserved a better fate. I mean, they threw a lot at Stuart Skinner. And, when your goaltenders are among the 3 stars now on a more regular basis, I mean, that does help a lot.
Yeah, Dub grads in goal. I love it so much. Which, speaking
Me
of,
too.
we have questions from the audience coming for you, Cam, which we'll get to in a second. But listen, I was with Randy Moller last week, just shooting the breeze. You know how it goes.
Yes.
I know. And he said, bro, I said, how was the trip, Moles? And he was like, oh, my God. You know how he talks? He's like, Edmonton, he goes, they've created something up there where he goes, it's not just about going to an Oiler game. It's a destination. It's like Disney World. People are coming from all over, you know how he talks, right? All over North America to go to an Oiler game. It's a big, stay at the hotel right there, the Ice District. It's an event. I'm sure you pinch yourself every day to be the voice of the Edmonton Oilers, but to be part of all of that, did Moles nail it? Because I haven't been to one for a couple of years, an Oiler game.
Yeah, I would say Moles has nailed it. And he also saw it in the Stanley Cup final, so saw it at its absolute peak. So there's that too. But when that game happened in December and Florida came back here, for the rematch after the Stanley Cup, there was a lot of hype and excitement around that game. So he is seeing it at its peak. But that it is true. It's it's funny. Last game, not last night, but on Saturday, I was walking to the rink as I walked to the rink on game day, and I ran into a couple sets of people that were in from Saskatoon because they had come in for the weekend and were coming to an Oiler game. So that falls right in line with exactly what you're saying. You are seeing not just people in Edmonton and the surrounding area, but beyond that, whether they're coming from Central Alberta or Northern Alberta or from West or from East or from Saskatchewan. You are seeing people come from far and wide to take part at an Oiler game, to soak in all that is Ice District and the things that you can do downtown before and after. And it has really developed. And as a guy that grew up here, and I remember that area of Ice District in the 80s, and this is vastly improved. And I think it's made our downtown better. It's made our city better.
pretty nice when a plan comes to fruition, isn't it? So bravo, Oilers, and whomever's responsible for this. It's pretty damn wild. Hey,
can I tell one Randy? Can I tell one Randy Moeller story?
You'd better.
Okay. So I'm working a hockey school up in Cold Lake. So I would have been, in junior, and it's what I did in the summer was work hockey school. So I'm up in Cold Lake. John Ogrodnik used to host a school up there because his dad grew up in the military. His dad was in the military. So we're up in Cold Lake, and John would have like some junior guys like myself, like Edmonton area Western leaguers come up and work it. And he'd have some NHL guys come up. And this is the first time I ever met Randy Moeller. First time. They said, okay, Randy's coming in for this week. All right, awesome. So he comes into the dressing room before we go on our first session. And I mean like maybe 30 minutes before. And he came on a Harley Davidson that he bought that afternoon in Edmonton, drove to Cold Lake, which is about 2 hours away, maybe 2.5. And he's like, hey, guys, good to see you. Just came in on this Harley. I just bought it. And I hope you guys got like a stick and a tracksuit for me because all I got are gloves and skates. And he was in for the whole week. He came in hot and he was unbelievable on the ice with the kids. Super nice guy. Of course, I got to work with his brother for many years in Red Deer and very enjoyable. But Randy Moeller is one of the great characters of the game of hockey.
And in a lot of ways, the face of the Panthers here in South Florida. And in that same conversation about the Oilers being a destination place, he talked about his wedding in the 80s in Red Deer, social event of the season. And he said his dad rented the top floor of the Black Knight, bought 2 kegs. It's longer than we have.
Oh, that's awesome.
Thanks, Mooner, for this story. It is. To the Oilers for a second. Well, we'll talk about the Edmonton Oilers, too. They were so ticked about the McDavid suspension. You've been around the game a long time. I think you and I are the same age, about the same amount. We've seen suspensions before and teams be pissed off about them. Was it the kind of anger that could carry this Oilers all the way to the Stanley Cup final, or are they over it by now? Or by then, will they be?
Oh, yeah. No, I think they're over it now, quite honestly. I understood the frustration in that I didn't think both cross-checks were the same. Connors was, born out of a battle. They're going back and forth. Hey, you can't cross-check a guy in the head. Absolutely. So is it suspendable? Yes. But it was out of a battle. Whereas the other one, that one looked more like out of nowhere. Like right out of nowhere. The Tyler Myers on Evan Bouchard. So in my mind, anyway, it's just my opinion. I thought whatever Connor got, Tyler Myers would get one more. So I thought maybe 2 for Connor, 3 for Myers was maybe the sweet spot, or 1 and 2, whatever. Now, if there was any sense of like Stampede Wrestling drama, they would have just given them 1 each, and then they played against each other in that game last Thursday. Now, that would have been a lot of fun, but, I guess not.
That didn't happen. And the Oilers took care of business anyways, so it didn't matter.
Yeah. True.
Glenn in Medicine Hat writes in.
Oh, baby.
And he's, him, Glenn Erickson. He says, I know he goes, I know it's not NHL stuff, but I wonder if Mooner might have a nifty story or two from his days playing in the old Medicine Hat Arena. Maybe the Section 2 boys? What do you remember from the Smarty Box there?
Okay. All right. Here's my Section 2 story. So Section 2 is right up by the visitor bench, the old Medicine Hat Arena. Rod, as you know, the benches were across from each other, old school style like the Montreal Forum. And Section 2 is legendary for just giving it to the opposition. Like, I mean, ruthless, but sometimes funny. So we're in there. It was Saskatoon. We're there. I'd split the season before between Saskatoon and Medicine Hat. And it was right before Christmas. So it was like mid-December or whatever. The game's going on. It's a good game. It's close. And Section 2's giving it to everybody on the Blades bench, as they do throughout the game. So there's a whistle. There's like a stoppage. and just a bit of a lull. So it's like just somewhat quiet. And somebody from Section 2 bellows as loud as they could, and you can hear it through the whole rink. He's like, "Hey, Moon, you know what you're getting for Christmas?" And he waits, little pause, "A new set of luggage." And then everybody starts laughing. I started laughing because I was like, okay, that's kind of funny. And I look over at our bench, and they're all laughing. They thought it was great. And yeah, everybody in Section 2 is roaring because I had played there the year before. So they're giving me the business, as they would. That place, that rink, I'm telling you right now, and you saw it many times. And granted, you saw maybe one of the best rivalries in the WHL between Regina and Moose Jaw, which I can only imagine was absolutely intense and amazing. But that atmosphere
violent.
violent, and could be violent. The Medicine Hat Arena fears in all the Canadian rinks in the WHL. The American rinks, it's different. It's just different. But there was something about that Medicine Hat Arena. Like, I miss it. I thought it was amazing. I understand why they built a new rink. I get it. I mean, that one in downtown was old, but it was fun.
It's like the figure skating capital of the world because every time we came in.
Yeah, every time there's figure skating right before.
God bless them. Sure. Every time. Yeah, God bless them. Great gals. Fantastic gals.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. What do you have upcoming schedule-wise for the Oilers, Mooner?
Well, Thursday, Detroit is here. So Todd McClellan, who has helped turn that team around, former Saskatoon Blade in his own right, will be here. So really looking forward to that. Toronto will be here on Saturday. That's always charged up, whether Toronto or Montreal comes. You know how that goes. And these are the last two games of a 6-game homestand. And then the team next week has a 2-game back-to-back St. Louis, Chicago. So that's what's coming up. Really looking forward to Detroit coming in here. We were in Detroit earlier this season, and they hadn't made the coaching change yet. So looking forward to seeing Todd when they get to town.
Who's got the better barn, Detroit or Edmonton? And be honest, most actually say Detroit. Can you say?
Now in Detroit, I haven't really walked around the whole building. I see the press box and the underneath, so it's difficult to say. I love our rink here in Edmonton. There's a lot of great attributes to it, and it's fan friendly. It's very team friendly. I'm sure the one in Detroit is too, but I don't know that I've explored the whole thing. They did a great job. It is a wonderful rink, and it's fun to broadcast from. Anytime you go to an Original 6 town, I just think it's a little bit extra special.
Sorry, I'm rattling off. These are just popping into my head. It was unfair to ask you, being the Edmonton guy. 60 seconds or less. How do you feel about Alex Pietrangelo or any Canadian not representing their country? He's saying he's injured, but if anybody pulled out and didn't want to play, I say do what you want. But I feel like I'm the lone voice in that.
No. I don't know what he's going through. I have no idea, and nor do fans, for that matter, have any idea physically what he's going through. So it's really hard to say from a million miles away, you got to be playing for your country. That's tough to say when you don't know what he's grinding through on a nightly basis. Maybe those 2 weeks off are extremely important in the Vegas Golden Knights. So I think that's very unfair to try and judge that without knowing.
For sure. Cam, always good to see you, man. Keep her rolling. So proud of you and enjoying the hockey and your calls.
Okay, thank you so much for having me on.
The voice of the Edmonton Oilers, Cam Moon. We'll be back with a sports update and viewer takeover the rest of the way. So load them up. 902-518-3033. The number to text us here, whatever topics you'd like. We've gone through quite a few today. We're live on Game Plus TV, streaming live, and podcasts, wherever the best podcasts are found.
sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Oh, yeah, he's back. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
As threatened, we're going to deliver on it. It's just you and me till the top of the hour here on the old RP Show. And we are brought to you by Seat Giant. Stop paying U.S. dollars for games and concerts. Canadian-owned and operated with Canadians in mind. Super Bowl, college football, Taylor Swift, Justin Timberlake. They've got it all. Use promo code RP Show for 15% off now. Check them out at seatgiant.ca. I can tell the stories if you don't have any comments that you'd like to get to. Although there are comments here, I'll get to them. But I'm just asking for more. The text line for Progressive Insurance, 902-518-3033. Just to give you a little inside glimpse of what my life's like. I didn't get into it with Moose, and I wanted to, that I'm now an ordained minister. True story. Only so that I can perform weddings and on occasion funerals and baptisms here. I was approached to do it. I said yes. I'm like, they said, you'd be great at that. I'm like, that's something that I think I'd like to do. And another thing is I don't really want to leave the state of Florida. Like, I don't ever want to leave it. So, point being, Panthers come back from the road trip that went up through Western Canada, and I was with Randy Moeller. I'm like, okay, Moles, tell me what went on. He's like, wow, Edmonton, it's just amazing. And
You sort of got to know him, and a lot of you guys know him personally or have seen him on television, a longtime NHL defenseman and now broadcaster for the Panthers. He's been broadcasting far longer than he played in the NHL, but he goes, it's a destination. People come from all over to go to Oiler games, which is true, and that's super cool. I just feel like not every team is like that. No, I know the Leafs are, Darren and Clark. Don't get your knickers in a knot. Yeah, but the Oilers just seems more special than anything. Regarding the Chiefs, is there Chief fatigue? I always look at things differently than everybody else. I get it. I'm not tired of them. You win your way there. You deserve to be there. You're great. Jeremy in Winnipeg writes in, he says, Chiefs versus everybody. Kevin the Medium writes in, he says, they only hate you when you are number one. Number 10 never gets heat. Sure. We all have haters. It means you're doing something right. Tony out in George Fox country says, is there an NFL rules committee like in the NHL? Because what the hell is a catch or pass interference anymore? Better definition is required. And that's usually where I say, oop, this is my stop. I'm getting off the train because I'm tired of the officiating discussion. I can't stand it. Not only do they have a competition rules committee, it's probably far bigger than the NHL's. It's the NFL, for God's sakes. They do everything bigger. But you know what? We get in the same discussions every year. Hang on. Colt is writing in from San Diego, but you're writing about all kinds of things that I don't want to talk about. This is stuff that you want to talk about. I get that, but yeah, no. Kirk in Toronto is watching on Game Plus TV, and he says, hey, Rod, I agree. If anything, I don't know what Jeff the Stamps fan said about it. We're getting off course here. Let me jump into a sports update. And it has to do with officiating. The tush push has been perfected by the Philadelphia Eagles, and it's been decrypted by the Kansas City Chiefs. So maybe the short yardage play will play a prominent role in the Super Bowl in 2 weeks in New Orleans. The Chiefs are going for their third consecutive championship after edging the Bills for the AFC title Sunday night. Again, calls by the officials came into focus in the Chiefs' victory. And in Philadelphia, the referee threatened to award the Eagles a touchdown if the Commanders kept committing fouls to prevent them from scoring from inside the 1 yard line. This is giving me Chiefs fatigue. Chiefs officiating fatigue is what I have. Where I got a little annoyed there, it's not really Kirk from Toronto's fault, but this is what he said. Hi, Rod. I agree with if anything was rigged comment from Jeff, the Stamps fan. Then tell Jeff. Don't tell me. I don't care that you agree with Jeff. Come on. Placeline, Pebble Beach, California. Dottie Pepper didn't anticipate a short message on slow play getting so much attention. But her comments during the CBS broadcast of Torrey Pines struck a nerve. It took 5 hours and 29 minutes to finish the final round. It was 10 seconds slower the week before. Where will it lead? Don't get your hopes up. Pace of play has been an issue for nearly a century. One overlooked example is the USGA executive director lamenting slow play when it took only 3 hours and 27 minutes for a threesome. That was in 1950. One idea is a shot clock. Where the golfer's at. You could put a shot clock on, but that doesn't... Again, I'm not a golfer, but what's that do when you've got 2 or 3 groups lined up ahead of you at the next tee box? I get it. The shot clock would eliminate all slow play. I get it. One interesting thing down around here is this indoor golf everybody's raving about up in Jupiter that Tiger owns. I don't totally understand it, but everybody's talking about it, and everybody's like, you got to go do it. Indoor golf? It's not mini golf. Apparently it's a combination of mini golf, real golf, and top golf under a roof. Do you know the name of it, Clark? Have you heard? It's all the rage. Yeah, Tomorrow Golf League, Clark says, the TGL, Tomorrow Golf League. Listen, not only do I not have a set of golf clubs anymore, I took the one I had and the Access Communications golf bag they were in and dropped them off at Sports Exchange. Said, take them, son. They're yours. If you sell them, keep the money. Back to the Super Bowl for a second. Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs accomplished a feat that had never been done before, getting back to the NFL's championship game following back-to-back Super Bowl wins. Next up is the rare championship three-peat that hasn't been accomplished in the NFL, NBA, NHL, or Major League Baseball in more than 20 years. The most recent team in those four leagues to win 3 straight championships was the LA Lakers with Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant in the 2000 to 2002 NBA Finals, which, quite frankly, brings up a whole other discussion. The owners didn't want that, the repeat winners. They wanted greater, well, that's why the salary cap was invented, parity. Sorry, they wanted new winners, and I wish I had Moose with me for this discussion. This is what the owners don't understand. They pay the general managers and the coaches to win. That you get. But then the owners keep bringing in all these rules and salary caps and things to make it hard on them. But the owners, to make it harder to repeat, is hard to win A at all, and then B to repeat, almost impossible. And here you got the Chiefs in the toughest league in the world with an even salary cap, not like baseball, and they're about to win their 3rd consecutive, or at least they have the chance. This wasn't supposed to happen. Because there was a time in the CFL that we bragged, for good reason, that we had 9 straight years with 9 different champions. But Winnipeg figured a way around it, not cheating, to appear in 5 consecutive Grey Cups. And then we sit here and bitch that we got fatigue of seeing these teams. I admire the fact that these guys figured it out. So now the owners got to get together again and figure out how to break this up. And yet we sit here and say that the NFL favors the Chiefs, which they do because they're making them the most money. And coming back to the next segment, we can talk about whatever you'd like, but more on where we started this thing with the Dallas Cowboys. People are literally at this point now laughing at Jerry Jones. And I really wonder if he knows. And if he knew, would he even care? As a Cowboys fan, I just know we're not going to be part of this discussion of winning anytime soon. We'll be back with Overtime right after this. We are live on Game Plus TV, streaming live and podcasts, wherever the best podcasts are found.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
All right, everybody. Are you getting ready for the hockey games tonight? I can tell you that I am. Connor Bedard and the Chicago Blackhawks are in Tampa. Played breakaway bets with Moose earlier. We both picked the Lightning. We both like the Lightning in this one. Overtime is brought to you by Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. Are you looking for the perfect place to perfect your shot? Then look no further than Overtime Hockey Lanes. You see the logo on the screen. They've got state-of-the-art shooting lanes. If you don't know what that means, go check it out. Top-notch equipment. It's the ultimate training destination for players of all ages and skill levels. And did I mention a licensed bar for the adults? Whether you're prepping for the big game or just want to have some fun, Overtime Hockey Lanes has got you covered. OvertimeHL.ca is their website. Check them out. Check it up. I'll be honest, to sit back and say, if somebody told me as a kid, Rod, there will be a shooting lane, an amusement park for hockey players in Calgary with your name on the lane, on the wall, I wouldn't have believed it. There's no way. If you as a kid, shoot, if you'd told me 10 years ago, they would have hauled you off to the loony bin. Thank you, Randy and Michelle at Overtime Hockey Lanes for doing that and partnering with us. We love it. Regarding the Chiefs, this is one of my favorite topics. Talking about what the Chiefs have done, defying the odds, about to become the first team ever to win 3 consecutive Super Bowls. Jeff the Stamps fan says, and the Chiefs have the worst facility in the NFL. That is somewhat crazy, but kind of not. We have a lot of people watching this show every day. And what you all need to realize is a football player, a hockey player, a broadcaster going to their work is no different than you going to your work. You give 100%, no matter where you are. I will admit to being stunned that in last year's Players Association survey, the Chiefs Stadium got the worst grades of all 32 NFL teams. It surprised me, but then on the flip side, the deplorable dump that I worked in Regina Radio for so long. We moved in 2006 to the new facility, which was state-of-the-art. But you wouldn't have known by listening to the radio. We still gave the best effort. We went from the worst to the best overnight.
kind of going like from Taylor Field to Mosaic Stadium. But we still won in the old place. Tony in Cochrane, Alberta writes, and he says, if and when the Capitals beat the Flames tonight, I hope Ovi gets a hat trick and closer to beating Gretzky's record. What is he, 20 away now? Numbers, stats are a real thing, aren't they? I guess we're going to find out. They say that he should break the record on or around April 4th. That's the one of many things that I love about writing this column every week for the South Florida Tribune. It's really got me digging into the hockey stats, facts, game notes more than I ever have. I think it's 20 now for Ovi. Now we're all watching every night. We got a reason to tune in more than any other. Said to Serena the other day, especially after coming back from Chicago, we had such a great time with the Blackhawks alumni and all the stuff that we did there. I said, I'm just loving covering the NHL to this degree with our Cats and Bolts podcast, the South Florida Tribune. It's all I've ever wanted to do. And football has been an awesome sideline and sidetrack, but I never wanted to do that. It was just a fun, fortunate blessing. Colton San Diego writes in, he says, your thoughts on the Cowboys hiring Matt Eberflus as defensive coordinator? It ain't going to matter. I heard or saw Mike Zimmer retiring. I wish when I got fired by the Rough Riders, I was old enough to say that I was just retiring. But I was 46. Nobody was going to believe that. BW in Edmonton writes in, he says, great guest today, great show, see you tomorrow. Good work on that, Clark. I really appreciate you getting Cam on. He's texted me. Oh, we go way, way, way back, me and that guy. He says, thanks for having me on. So much fun with 5 exclamation mark, sorry. That's the kind of guy Cam Moon is. Just, you better be loving what you're doing. But I'll tell you what, I think I'm going to go to the eye doctor later today. Oh, there's a few questions I wanted to throw out that I didn't have time for. If you were going to buy a MacBook, where would you go? Apple Store, Walmart, Best Buy? Get 30 seconds to answer me on that. Clark, where would you go to buy a MacBook? Are you even a MacBook guy? Because Moose isn't. He says Best Buy. It's like $100 more than Walmart. But then you don't get the service. And would you buy a refurbished one? No. Yeah, we'll kick this all around tomorrow. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Be good. See you tomorrow.